Hey everyone, welcome back to the Man Attraction panel where I'll help you to unlock access to the male brain and you learn real secrets from real men. I'm of course your host, Antia Boyd, and today I have a really amazing expert with me here today, which is Mike Rivera. Hey Mike.
Hey there, how you doing, Antia?
Not to mix up with Mike Goldstein, ladies. So we have two mics, you know? So
Right.
Mike, we're actually going to talk about online dating and not only how to create a profile that makes any man swipe right, while the quality man, the high quality man,
Mhm.
but also he's going to actually teach you some strategies that he uses to help those women to actually get to that first date.
Yeah, we're going to teach some strategies on how to help women establish a deeper connection. And what we found, just when you establish a deeper connection with an individual, they want to be around you more, they want to see you more, and then that's how you end up getting the first, second, and third date. A lot of people we hear, they get first dates, but they're not great at getting the second or third. Well, part of that is because, that connection really isn't there, right? So we are going to kind of step through a little process on how you can set yourself up to get dates, 2, 3, and 4, and etc.
Awesome. And ladies, before we do that, let me just tell you a little bit about who Mike is, because he grew up with an intuitive sense of human behavior and a natural understanding of relationship dynamics. He combines his process-based approach, which he fine-tuned working in the tech sector, with the experience he gained while being recently single, to successfully help other singles deal with the realities of dating. As a co-dating coach at the Date Maven, he's responsible for helping create new content, which includes mindset, social, and digital strategies that help his clients elevate dating and deepen connection. When he isn't working, you'll find Mike listening to EDM music and enjoying Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
There
All
you go.
right.
That's it. I think you hit it all.
I love it. I love it. So, so let's talk a little bit about what do you see from the get-go, because I know at the end we're actually going to talk about your online dating profile audit. So when you do those audits, what do you find as some of those things just right out of from the get-go
Mhm.
that make you like cringe as a man? You're like, wow, maybe not the best approach,
Right. I hate to be cliche, but it kind of starts with a picture, right, on the
Mm-hmm.
online profile. And there is the saying, "You're only as good as your worst picture." And that's something that I've found personally. I find myself falling into that trap, and I've noticed that our clients, honestly, men and females, can sometimes fall into that trap. So, audit your pictures very carefully and make sure that quality over quantity. One of the other things I look for in a picture, especially the lead picture, is a good, sincere smile. And we all know there's a difference between a fake smile and a sincere smile.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a firm believer that people can pick up on the difference. They may not be able to vocalize it or put their finger on it, but people can kind of intuitively sense it. So look for your best smile to put on that lead page. Don't necessarily try to put the picture that you think is the best or the sexiest or whatever. Most men want a woman who looks kind and approachable and cool. So having a good, genuine smile is a good way to send that message to the guy that's going to be swiping.
Yeah, totally, totally. And so tell me more about, like, when it comes to photos, because we talk a lot about, should they wear certain colors? Like, should they be facing the camera or looking away from it? How far should they be away? What about sunglasses? What about girlfriends? What about other guys in the photo? So let's talk just for a minute about photos in general. What are do's, what are don'ts?
So some of the do's that we like and tell our clients is, only have yourself in the photo. So limit group photos. And if you're going to have a group photo with a woman, preferably it'd be like with a mother or a grandmother, where it's obvious that there's an age difference in who's who, right? We don't want to confuse anyone. Don't have a picture with a guy, even if it's your brother. Don't make a guy have to try to decide what's going on in that picture. We also recommend at least one recent full body picture. It doesn't have to be, elegant clothing and elegant attire, just something full body that gives sort of an honest representation of who you are. We're really big at being honest, from the very get-go. I know that can be a pet peeve of men and women, is people not representing themselves properly online. So we do encourage that full body picture. And then other than that, we're really good with just mostly headshots on the rest of the profile pictures. I personally, when I was online, I liked selfies. I like that more than maybe portrait pictures. I just kind of felt like they were kind of cute, and even though they were planned, they kind of felt spontaneous sometimes when I saw them. So if you're not an expert at selfies, practice, and that's something that we coach our clients. We coach them some of the do's and don'ts of selfies. Hold the camera up a little bit higher, than your head. Make sure you have good lighting. Maybe tilt your head at an angle a little bit. And kind of the last thing that we tell people is don't be afraid to switch some pictures out now and then. If you feel like you're not getting the swipes that you want, don't hesitate to experiment a little bit with different lead pictures.
Okay, got it. Yeah, and that was my question too, because I heard both sides. I heard headshots are great, professional photos, right? Then I heard, no, don't use professional photos because the men may think, is this really who I'm meeting? Is this really... You know what I mean? Because it's a perfect lighting, a perfect makeup, and a perfect everything. And it's like, is that really who I'm meeting? So where are you standing with all of this? Like professional, I mean, you talked a little bit already about the selfie situation, so leaning more towards professional or more towards, hey, ask your girlfriend to snap a couple of photos of you. And
I like the ask the girlfriend to take pictures, or the selfies, or maybe, you just had some pictures, when you're on vacation or something, and you crop some of the other people out or some of the scenery out to make you stand out more.
Yeah.
But I like the more natural photos than professional photos. I think when men see professional photos, we kind of think maybe the woman's a little bit uptight. We think that maybe she's going to be more strident than we're looking for. Men are really big at kind. So I think professional photos kind of have an aura of coldness about them that we kind of tend to not really be drawn towards.
Right. That makes a lot of sense, and that's what I mean, it's like this balance between the connection, but then also the respect. So also like, hey, I'm classy and I'm taking care of myself, but also I'm approachable too, right? Like you can connect with me. I'm warm. I'm soft. I'm feminine, right?
Right. At the end of the day, just because you're putting out there, hey, I'm soft, I'm feminine, I'm kind, I'm approachable, that doesn't mean you can't be the other side. It just means on the first impression, that may not be the best time to put it out there.
Yeah.
You let a man be attracted to you and get to know you. And then when he gets to know you a little bit, yeah, absolutely. If you're this shark in the boardroom, then absolutely show it. If you want to show him how you look in a business suit, absolutely do it. But first give yourself a chance, to build that connection. And it's usually best to do that if you kind of stay away from the portrait type, the studio type pictures.
So what are some of the other do's or don'ts, whichever one you want to go with, when it comes to online dating profiles that you see where you're like, no, this is like not attractive, I would continue swiping?
So one of I have to say it's a little bit of a cliche, is I would say men in general, including myself, don't like to read a book. So keep your profile concise. Generally, 3 to 5 sentences is where we encourage our clients to live in that range. And of course, depending on what dating app you're on, they're like Tinder and Bumble, they're kind of really conducive to small, short intros anyway. So there's some other sites that have, the ability to literally put, a book there in front of you. So keep them concise so men don't, lose interest. If you want the man to read your profile and your introduction, you want to keep it short so you can kind of, keep their attention span, so to speak. The other thing is maybe oversharing. Sometimes women feel like they have to kind of give a manifesto. Maybe they've been burned before by, a guy's doing this or a guy's doing that. And so they just kind of give a manifesto on dating in general. Kind of stick away from those. And I know that means that you might have to do some more weeding out than maybe you might like. But again, if you want to attract that diamond in the rough, so to speak, you kind of got to think about his user experience as well.
Yeah, totally. And speaking of which, how can a woman, I always tell my women, right? Like I don't teach too much on this, but one thing I say, cause some sort of like state change, right? So imagine like the user experience, right? The man comes to your profile. How can you make sure that he feels differently after he read your profile? So what are some of the things that she can do that he's like, oh, wow, like that was really surprising. That was really not predictable at all, you know?
So one of the things, it's kind of simple, but just try to keep it playful. Try to get out of the, a monologue of this is who I am, and try to keep it playful. So instead of saying something like, I like camping and I like, views of the lake, you could say it that way. You could also say something like, you know what, with this weather getting nice, I'm really looking forward to going camping. Maybe I'll find a camping buddy out of this, LOL. So you're kind of saying the same thing, but by just adding a little bit of playfulness, you're going to catch a guy's attention.
Yeah.
That would easily be the number one thing that catches me. I'm looking for someone to be light and fun and playful. And so if I sense that in their intro and their bio, I can be sure I'm going to right click. And I'll be honest, I might let a right swipe on someone that maybe like the attraction, I'm not quite sure if it's there. But if I see and sense their personality is going to be fun and enjoyable, I'll right swipe on that. Easily a playful intro can be the difference between a left or a right swipe.
Ah, okay. And so you're usually like writing more, helping women with those playful intros. But what would be just a couple of examples that the women are like? Because I have so many women, and I tell them something conceptually, right? And then they're like, well, I don't even know what that means, right? Because I'm just used to, hi, I'm Susie, I'm from Kansas, and I love white chocolate over dark chocolate. I mean, although that could be leading to an interesting conversation too,
Right. Well, so some examples might be, maybe a woman puts on her profile, I like drinking wine and going to concerts and going to shows. So a woman could, if she wanted to be a little bit playful, she could say, I like Cabernet, but I'm always looking for a new varietal. Do you have one in mind? Question mark. On top of that, my idea of a good evening, is a nice dinner and a nice concert. Then again, I don't mind going to a bar and watching a game as well, winky face or something like that. So, showing that this is who I am, but also this is who I'm able to be, right? Because sometimes when you match up, you don't have the exact same interests, right, with the person that's across from you. So you want to show that you're open to not just living your life and your lifestyle, but living theirs. And so that kind of shows you're adventurous, it shows you're playful, shows your willingness, to have an open mind about things.
Oh, okay. Awesome. And so you said so what should be sort of the longest, the length, when we talk about the length of a profile, what should be the max?
5 sentences is approximately where we try to cut it off. Every now and then we might go over, by a sentence or two, but I would say 90% of the profiles we make for our clients are within the 3 to 5 sentence range. So it's pretty concise.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, that's how we roll, and one of the things we do is we'll use some of our techniques during the conversation to kind of help do some of the weed out. Because we realize the more concise your profile is, that kind of invites more people in, into your orbit. But that's kind of what you want too, because one thing we found with dating is sometimes people, they have a really narrow tunnel vision of what they think they want and need. Right. When in reality, it may be a little bit bigger than that. So you don't want to shut too many people out. So we try to leave it open enough that we'll invite more people in.
Yeah, totally. And so that's a little bit about the profile. And then we also want to talk a little bit about the communication after they read the profile that then leads to the first date. So what are some of the things that the women need to take into consideration, that they, what you find, when you look at it or when you talk with them, what they're writing, and I'm sure you look at some screenshots or whatnot, what you find is like, what are they doing that's actually not working and where you're helping them?
So we have something that we call the power openings, and we have 4 main concepts of the power openings. And the idea of that is you want to get someone engaged right away. So a lot of times when you see people reach out online, whether it be a man or a woman, you'll see something like, hey, or how you doing? Or good
I know. My women say this all. He's like, what am I supposed to say to that?
Right. I mean, that's not giving you much of a window. So,
Right.
so we teach our clients to do 4 things every time they have an initial reach out. We teach them to, number 1, give a personalized hello. So instead of just saying, hey, I would say, hey, Antia, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that we teach is to give a personalized compliment. One of the things that, at least from a guy's perspective, we teach them, never tell a woman she's beautiful or she's gorgeous.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Because, that's exactly the reaction they're going to get. Right? The eye roll, the high, the low, the side eye roll, all of that happens. So men and women, both we teach to give a specific compliment, because that always tends to come across as more genuine. So, as a man, I may say, hey, Antia, nice to meet you. Gosh, I love that blouse. That color of blue just sort of makes your eyes pop. I really love that on you. Something like that. So look for something specific about a man in his picture that you can give them a compliment about. Right. And again, you don't have to give them a compliment on every picture. Just kind of find one that you feel like you can speak to.
Yeah.
The 4th thing that we teach our clients to do is to tell a little bit about yourself in the opening, and then also to bridge that insight about you with a question and or a comment that's going to elicit a response. So for instance, I might say something like, gosh, this weather's really great out there. I always like going for walks, down by the river when it's nice like this. What about you? Are there any places around town you like going for a walk? I would give all of those points, the personalized intro, the compliment, telling a little bit about myself, and asking a question, all in the initial text bubble. So I'm not gonna let this drag out for 5 minutes. I'm gonna hit them right away with that. And I'll be honest, a lot of the response we get, I've heard responses and seen responses of people saying, wow, you can carry a conversation. That's great. And you can tell they're actually perked up because they kind of can sense that more is going to be coming. So if you can learn to implement those 4 strategies, you're going to grab people's attention right away.
So you were saying from a man perspective, for a women perspective, because, I always want to distinguish, like, are you telling the women to reach out, or like, what's your approach with that? Okay.
Well, so this concept works both for men and women. Mm-hmm. So when I run our clients' dating apps and dating accounts, I use the exact same concepts. The only thing I might change is some of the wording, more masculine wording for the men and more feminine for the women. Right. But conceptually, the bullet points I just mentioned, it's the exact same. And people respond the exact same. It doesn't matter the sex. So yes, this is for women to do for men. Now, like on sites like Bumble, where a woman has to reach out first, that this plays really well into that. My initial reach out, if I was a woman, I would hit all of those 4 points. Yeah. Now, if a guy reached out first to me and said, hey, I would just give him just what I told you. So my initial reach out to him, which maybe would be the second part of the conversation, but my initial reach out to him would hit all of those points. A personalized greeting, a personalized compliment, telling a little bit about myself, and then asking a question to engage the other person. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. No, yes. That's true. I was just putting myself in those shoes. I mean, I've been married for 6 years, but there is like, yeah, I mean, you're just like, wow, this is like actually intellectually stimulating. This person cares. And let's see if there's more, right? Like, even if it's like not completely my type, or like, but like, wow, it's like, there's something there. This guy's observant. He's like inquisitive, like something, there's like something different, totally different, right? Like, cause when I did online dating, I didn't do too much of it, but when I did it, it was always just hi and hey babe, and like, or hey gorgeous, or hey sexy. And
right.
So,
I'm even eye rolling when I hear it.
I know.
Yes. And so I've run accounts for women. So I've seen that, You've
seen it all the time, right? It's like delete.
I roll just like everyone else when I see it. It's like, oh my gosh. And sometimes Suzanna will be in the room with me, who's my co-coach. And so I'll run over there and I'll be like, oh, Suzanna, look, another, hey, beautiful. It drives me crazy, and I'm a guy reading it.
Totally. So what's like so we're coming sort of like towards the end of the conversation, and of course you're going to do like your whole analysis with the women in your call, but what's like one last tip that you have for the women? It's almost like, if you don't do anything, do this kind of thing. You know what I mean?
if you're going to do anything, try to be adventurous. And I know that can kind of throw some people, because they're like, well, I'm not adventurous. I don't jump out of airplanes. I don't skydive. I don't climb rocks and mountains. Well, adventure can be small, minute things. And both men and women tend to crave that. Even if they don't know they crave it, they do. And they certainly pick up on it. So one of the things that we might tell our female clients is say something like, to kind of take control also of the conversation. Is I like throwing something in that says, hey, I'm not putting the cart before the horse, but just random question. If we were going to go on a first date or a first meet, where would you want to go? Would you want to go to a bar, a restaurant, a coffee shop, or an ice cream shop? And something just that simple. Most men have never even considered going to an ice cream shop on a first date, right? It just doesn't even pop in their head. They've never heard that. So it's different. So adventure, you can also use the other word different. Just be different than everyone else. Don't be afraid to interject some playfulness into your conversation. Men respond to playfulness. It's like catnip to us. So if you can find ways to be that way, you're going to get his attention.
Oh my God, that's so good. Yeah. I had like on my online dating profile, I was like saying, if you want to be part of my cuisine of infinite possibility, be my guest. And I had like a smiley that was had like a fork and a knife in its hands.
Oh, that's good. Well, it's funny. So you brought up another point. We found that emojis are very powerful. And again, for both men and women, but if a woman can make sure she interjects emojis regularly into her texting and her conversations, she's going to seem more warm. She's going to seem more kind. And sometimes it can seem, flirty. A little winky face can come across as pretty flirty, right? So if you can do those things consistently, and we generally tell our clients roughly every 2 to 3 bubbles, text bubbles, assuming they're somewhat meaty, find a way to interject an emoji. And we found that, again, that helps create a connection, and it helps the walls come down for the gentleman. And we've been able to have gentlemen that just by making them feel relaxed and giving them little carrots, so to speak, we can get dates literally in 4 or 5 hours of texting, not even straight, just sort of off and on. We can get the guy asking us out on a date. Of course, we can also make sure he doesn't ask us out if we use our wording correctly, if we don't want to date him. But part of it is we have to realize is that men are insecure, right? I mean, we're people, and we're all insecure at times. So we're looking for reassurance. So when you're playful, when you're adventurous, when you use some of those emojis that kind of show you as being kind and flirtatious, that kind of gives us the confidence to maybe step up and ask you out.
I love it. I love it. So I know ladies, I know there's so much more. So you'll have to talk to Mike personally about all of that. But those are like some tools that you have. And so at the end, I always ask every man, what are 5 qualities that you prefer in a woman? So you personally, what are some of your 5 sort of like attractor qualities in a woman?
So my number 1 by far is a smile. Smiling, and not just the regular smile, but smiling with the eyes. Your whole face is smiling. And not every woman does that. I mean, that's a relatively small percentage of the population that when you go on a date, they're just, brimming, with positive energy and smiles. And that is easily the number 1 attractor. It says a lot of subliminal messages. It shows interest, it shows kindness and warmth. And those are all things that guys are looking for. The other thing I like is just a vibrant energy, and that can kind of go with smile. There's some women that they smile a lot, but they're kind of chill and subdued. But me personally, I like someone to have energy. I like to feel like I'm not sure where this date could go at any moment. I want to feel like that if I throw out a random crazy idea, there's a distinct possibility my date's going to say yes to it. So I like that sort of that fun energy that bounces around there.
Number 3.
Man, I got to come up with 5. So I would say the third thing I like is obviously a sense of humor. I think everyone's kind of looking for that. And even more important than having a sense of humor is maybe a woman who's graceful or who's kind when our humor isn't matching up. You know, maybe I tell a couple jokes and she may not think they're the funniest things in the world, but she's still polite and kind of gives me a polite laugh and kind of, you know, chuckles and goes along with it. That really goes a long way. You know, that makes me feel comfortable and it makes me feel more attracted to them.
Totally.
Fourth, you know, I like someone that isn't afraid to tell a little bit about herself on the first date, a little deeper discussion. You know, I don't just like the sort of the candy discussion of, oh, this is where I work and, you know, this is how many kids I have and
right.
all of that. I like a little depth to the conversation. So a woman who isn't afraid to go a little bit deeper and tell a little bit more about herself or ask some really interesting questions. You know, there's a lot of question cards that you can find online. So maybe, you know, if you're a woman, you know, go online and buy some of those cards so you kind of have a stock of them and go through, you know, 3 or 4 and say, hey, when I'm on the date, I know I'm going to ask some of these deeper questions just to kind of say what they do. You know, one of those things may be like, so, you know, you're a doctor, you know, what made you want to get into medicine? You know, what was it about that profession that interested you? Is that something that was interested you as a child? Is that something that happened later in life? So even something that, you know, simple as asking someone's profession, when you ask deeper questions, that kind of attracts me to you.
Mm-hmm. And then number 5,
I'll be honest, you know, look good, you know, and dress for the date, you know, dress up, you know, having a nice perfume. I'll be honest, everyone likes eye candy, right? So, you know, be that eye candy for your date. And of course, as the man, it's our job to be that eye candy for you, right? It's our job to show up, dress nice, smelling nice, but easily that rounds things out for me.
You know, that's interesting. That's what my husband says too. He liked that I knew how to dress and what jewelry goes with what and shoes. And, you know, it's like, it's interesting. Like some men care about it. Some men don't. So it's really interesting. I've heard both. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Mike. So I know we talked a little bit about it. So tell the ladies a little bit more about your online dating profile analysis, audit, you call it, that we have as a free gift.
Okay. Well, as a free gift, what we'd like you to do is, number 1, you can go to our website and kind of check us out and see, you know, what we have there. And when you sign up, we'll give you a little booklet, a little ebook, I guess, on some things to be mindful of on your online dating profile, which it covers a lot of what we talked about today. But again, it's always nice to kind of have it written down right in front of you so you kind of know where to go with that. Okay,
awesome. And as usual, ladies, the link is right below this video, so easy to find. All right, well, thank you so much for being here today, Mike. I always love talking about online dating. There's always new things are happening and new terms are rising and new websites coming up. So it never gets boring. It's ever evolving, you know?
Right. It is. There really isn't a dull moment. As often as I run these accounts for our clients, it really does not get dull. You know, it is excitement to it, and there's something new every day. So yeah, and it's always evolving, especially now with the times that we have going on now. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a great way to be efficient with your time and meet some really great people.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Mike. And for the ladies, I will talk to you next time. Take care.